Hello everyone, welcome to Impulsive Artistry. I'm artist Charles Wolfe. Let's get started. Here's my palette: titanium white, liquid white, permanent red, cerulean blue, and ultramarine blue. We're going to begin by putting some of this liquid white across the canvas with a touch of the blue in there, a bit of the ultramarine blue, and a dab of the cerulean after that. Here is some cerulean blue. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. I'll have new painting videos for you each and every week, where I do a painting tutorial time-lapse video, as well as a full-length painting lesson like the one you are watching now. Beginning like I often do by marking out my horizon line and some of the key formations that are going to appear, some of the structural lines of the piece. The top thick line all the way across is the horizon, and a few of these waves coming forward. It's important that they're not perfectly straight, but sort of angle off in different directions. And then up high I have some of the clouds there. A little more of the liquid white and a touch of the ultramarine blue. Nice soft blue color. If you wouldn't mind, please leave a like. It helps me reach more people. Thank you all. Alright, as I'm painting along here, I'm going to catch a little bit of the permanent red. There was a touch of it on the actual painting stand, but I didn't mind because I was going to use that color anyhow. Bring in a few lighter pink tones. It's been a few weeks since I've used oil paint. It's a lot of fun to use, and I highly recommend it. Give it a try if you would like to. One of the great strengths of oil painting over acrylic is that it is very easy to blend your colors together and get these smooth, hazy gradations. When you work with acrylics, you have to work rather quickly because it dries so fast, and sometimes it's kind of hard to get everything to subtly flow. No such restriction when you are working with oil paint, and that everything will continue to be wet and will blend together smoothly throughout the painting process. I can always adjust things at each point of the painting, unlike an acrylic where once it's on there for a little while, more than 5 or 10 minutes, it will already dry and I have to cover it up if I want to start to blend out to another section smoothly. Bringing some of the white to the sky here. Now, to be fair, this is a very simple composition. One might say that it's too simple, and I really can't fault you if you feel like it is. I think, though, that it is still effective, and I am really pushing the boundaries of impressionism and abstraction. I'm trying to create a piece of art that is compelling and that is interesting, that really conveys a mood or a feeling, and that feeling is one of tranquility, of calm, the sense of isolation perhaps. I am trying to convey this mood through the use of color and light. I am inspired by some of the works of Monet, which are almost abstracted, and there is this sort of misty haze over the water, and it is that effect that I am going for in this painting. Bringing a big burst of cerulean blue here. I could definitely take this and paint a more traditional impression of the ocean, and I have done so many times and will continue to do so on this channel. But that's not exactly what I'm going for in this piece. While I want the ocean to be there and I want it to be recognizable, I feel like it is more about the color and the imagery and the mood over the composition. And so I am pushing into an abstract art form for sure with this idea. This is an idea I've been working on many times Even here on the channel, you can find other examples of me attempting to get this painting. And I think this is the closest I've gotten to getting it how I see it in my head. I may do this again at some point. I keep coming back to this idea. For some reason I'm drawn to it. This sort of misty, hazy ocean scene. Maybe a big lake, I'm not sure. One of the things that really improved with this version of the painting is the attention to the brushwork. I'm holding the brush really far back, where I have a lot less control of exactly where the bristles are moving, and I'm holding it very loosely. I'm purposely kind of flicking my wrist around, keeping it almost like a rag doll, and allowing the brushwork to be very strong and very forward in the composition. Here I've switched to a liner brush with a little bit of a pink mixture, permanent red plus some of that titanium white, maybe a dash of the liquid white in there as well. Tossing in some areas that I'm going to blend out here to bring up the pink color here in the foreground. But you can see how I'm really pushing the brushwork to be sort of free-flowing and forward. If you ever have any questions about my work or about my approach, feel free to leave me a comment and I'll be happy to help you in any way that I can. Love answering questions about painting, about composition, that sort of thing. Feel free to ask anything you would like, and if I can answer it, I will do so to the best of my ability. Here I am back to my Filbert brush that I'll be using for the majority of this painting, and I'm just quickly flicking my wrist around and blending things out. Like I said, it should be a misty, hazy piece, and so there will be a lot of fluid blending in this composition and in this piece today. However, as I am blending everything together, I am also trying to have lots of forward brush strokes. So keep that in mind. If you're painting along, keep your brushwork very active and very loose. We really want lots of kind of waving lines and trailing off passages. Here I put in a strong titanium white horizon line, bringing in more of the light of the sky reflected on the water in the distance. Putting in a little more of the blue, cerulean blue. Great color, fantastic color, really rich, vibrant, beautiful. This many times before, but I'll say it again, there is something about the richness of oil paints that is spectacular. Don't get me wrong, acrylics are fantastic for beginner painters and fantastic for artists like myself who are painting a lot, multiple paintings a week. They are cheaper to buy, cheaper to use, and they dry quickly. They're great all around. You can get some really fantastic work done in acrylics. I have done so, and I found that they work for me. But there is something really spectacular and beautiful about the lush richness of oil paints. And so if you ever have the little extra income and you want to spend a little bit more on your painting supplies, try oil painting. It's great. It's forgiving. You can really mess things up and cover it over or scrape it off and start again very easily because it dries so slowly. It's even more forgiving than acrylic paint, I think. Acrylic paint is pretty forgiving because you can just dry it off and paint over. That's always true, but you have to use more paint if you do that, where you can really move things around in a composition when you're painting in oils. That is just wonderful. You'll see, again, my approach with my brushwork here very loosely holding that handle way far back, and I'm just sort of jostling it up and down, making sure that the bristles are really being bent and turned. Free, expressive brush strokes, like you would see in an abstract. I am using it to create loosely this landscape composition, this impression, this misty, foggy first light across the ocean. You may notice that I have some yellow there on my palette, but I won't be using that today. Didn't actually need it, so you don't need it if you're going to paint along with me today. Looks like I have some sienna as well, and I didn't end up using that either. Really felt the blues and the reds as I was painting this one. Whenever I'm starting a new painting, sometimes I have a couple different ideas for the color palette, so I'll put a couple colors out there speculatively, and then I'll actually get into the painting process and realize, you know what, don't actually need all of these colors. Keep it simpler. Dash of the ultramarine there on the brush, a little bit darker, a little bolder. Really like the freedom of those brush strokes. And then we're going to scumble over them with my filbert brush now and just blend out the edges and dance it across. I like that it's getting darker in the foreground. That adds to the perspective. I also reinforced the horizon line there in the distance, which I do need to soften a good deal. Trying to discover these waves with my brushwork, sort of the impression or the hint of them at least. Painting is a lot of fun, and if you've never tried it before, I really recommend that you give it a try. It's really rewarding and it's relaxing, and there are really no rights or wrongs. When you're painting, you can adjust things as you go. When you're painting a piece like this, it's just an impression, really. You can really do whatever you want with it. I'm trying to show that by not trying to be perfect, but trying to let the brush do what it wants, and by just carefully selecting a few key colors and just exploring, you can create a really beautiful and dynamic piece of art that will look fantastic in your living room or at your office. Very simply, yourself, that will look beautiful for your own home with colors that you like. I'm not trying to discourage you from supporting other artists by no means. In fact, there are lots of great artists out there, and if you really like their work, you should maybe consider buying it, because it is an awesome thing to support someone who's dedicated their life and many, many years to their craft. I don't mean to discourage anyone from doing that, but painting yourself is not a bad option and can give you a great amount of joy as well. Here is some more of the permanent red and a touch of the white as well. I really like the interchange of that pink against the blue, that pale pink forming purple as it interplays with the blue a little bit. Lovely color. A little more of the ultramarine blue. Get a nice big clean mop brush. We'll just start to blend that upwards into the sky, form these clouds. I sort of started with the sky today. I usually do the entire sky first and then work my way down, but I thought, you know what, let's break all the rules today and we'll start in the middle, work all the way to the bottom, and then go back for the sky at the end. There's really no right or wrong, you can do it however you want. More of the titanium white, touch of the liquid white as well. Putting in some lighter strokes here to contrast. More of the cerulean blue with the mop brush, right here on the bottom. Again, really keeping the brushwork loose, trying to work through the process of figuring out exactly how much contrast and detail do I need to create, and how much can I leave to the viewer's imagination. I think I get it right by the end. For a painting, 20 minutes is not bad, for a painting this size especially. But like I said, it's a simple composition, simple idea. The canvas I'm working on today, by the way, is 16 by 20 inches. If I did a full landscape on this size of a painting, it could take me anywhere from 2 to 4 hours, if I was really being careful. I often will try to go quickly for the tutorials, because I know someone doesn't really want to sit there for hours and hours of painting and watch all of that here on YouTube. I try to keep it to 20 to 30 minutes max. Don't always happen, and I've done a few larger pieces and a few works where I've worked out the entire thing over multiple parts here on the channel. But for the most part, I keep my paintings smaller for you all, just so that I can get through more of them. I'm a little bit of an impatient artist, to be fair. I tend to get bored kind of easy, and I often want to paint something new and want to try something different well before I'm actually completely finished with another piece, if I did some bigger ones. So I tend to stick to the smaller ones because I can finish them in a day and do a small daily painting rather than spend weeks on a monstrosity. I mean, don't get me wrong, if I get a commission, I am happy to work many hours, 20, 30 hours on a painting. It's worth the effort to really make it just right and get it just so for my clients. But if I'm painting for myself, I'd rather go a little bit fast and loose and not worry about all the details for the most part. And that just fits my personality. For me, painting is more like jazz. It's kind of structured, but somewhat improvisatory. It's not so classical, where every note has to be just in its place and every tone needs to be perfectly controlled. This is more free and loose and creative and in the moment and spontaneous. That's what painting is for me. Here's some more liquid white in the permanent red, mixing it together. More of the blue. When in doubt, more blue. Sort of lifting upwards and then pulling across and then lifting upwards again, just to blend this out a bit more. Back to my liquid white, just to blend this together, a few more highlights. The only medium I'm really using is that liquid white, a mixture of paint thinner and titanium white, I believe. And here I'm just softening the middle ground area a little bit more so it blends into that background a bit better. Thank you so much for watching this painting lesson today. I hope that you enjoyed it. Please ask me any questions you would like, anything that I missed. I'd happy to elaborate more in the comments below. Check out my Etsy shop, etsy.com/shop/impulsiveartistry. You can follow me on Twitter @artimpulsive. Please subscribe. I'll be back soon with another painting lesson. Thanks.